What up, guys? It's your boy Quake, and day 3 of 6ix9ine testifying has finally been done, and he decided to throw more people under the bus. But before we get into that, be sure to follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at QuakeGW. A link is in the description below for both. Now let's get straight into it. If you haven't seen the day 1 testimony video and the day 2 testimony video, go ahead and check that out. It's on my channel, so you're not confused and caught up as to what's going on. In the last video, it ended with 6ix9ine describing how the kidnapping happened. It picks up from there. The government introduces text messages from Harv. Apparently 6ix9ine will be interpreting them for the jury, but first he explains why he publicized his own kidnapping. He says, "I knew Harv had a video, so I wanted to get mine out there first." As the jury is shown video of Shotty's car in front of 370 Madison, 6ix9ine on the witness stand stretches and yawns, unclear yet how he'll react under cross-examination by the lawyers for Harv and Nuke. 6ix9ine reveals that he offered $50,000 for someone to rob Harv, and this is after Harv allegedly robbed and kidnapped 6ix9ine. Now 6ix9ine says that on Power 105.1 he denounced them. As you guys know, in the Breakfast Club interview days before he got locked up, 6ix9ine was going on a rant about how Treyway was stealing money and that he's not working with them anymore. He never wants to do business with them. And then he said that Treyway is a fraud, they're dirty bloods. When he says he knows this would make him a target to the people in the courtroom, the judge tells the jury to just disregard what he said. Now a wiretap call with Mel Murda reviewing 6ix9ine's interview on Power 105, where he said Treyway was a fraud. He must be on drugs. You're going to go on social media with it. I feel kind of depressed. Wiretap call continues and it says, "We made you who you was so you could help us with our situation. We gave you life. You wouldn't be shit without Trey." Now this is a report that was reported right when 6ix9ine and everybody else got locked up. Because if you guys remember, 6ix9ine on Breakfast Club denounced all of Treyway. They took huge offense to that, especially Mel Murda. Then there was a wiretap call. Basically, Mel Murda said, you know what, let's get rid of this guy for disrespecting us. Shotty, though, it was never confirmed that Shotty was actually willing to do something to 6ix9ine. It was just Mel Murda and some other Treyway members. So that's what this wiretap call is referring to. Then AUSA Longyear asks, "Have you heard of the term dry snitching?" 6ix9ine responds saying, "It's a term on the street, snitching without snitching. It's like," and then the judge comes in and interrupts and it says, "I don't think we need to hear any more on this answer, but what was said is received." The judge has been basically tired of 6ix9ine constantly elaborating what he's saying and getting other people involved that don't need to be involved in his testimony. So that's why he interrupted him. Continuing on, this is where 6ix9ine decides to throw another rapper under the bus. They ask him who is Jim Jones. Jokingly enough, he says he's a retired rapper when he isn't. That was the joke that everybody was laughing at. And then they ask him, is he a member of 9 Trey? He says yes. And a lot of people are wondering, why the hell did Jim Jones get brought up in this whole thing? Well, Jim Jones's phone call to someone was wiretapped, and they went over the phone call in the courtroom. The phone call went something like this. Every time you look at it on YouTube or WorldStar, you see Shotty with this shit. He didn't get enough money for that. Now his show's all canceled. He ain't a gang member no more. TMZ want to talk to this guy on Monday. We don't need to be on no TMZ. You better stalk that shorty. No security gonna work for him. He's gonna have to stay in your house. Security of New York can't run around with guns, right? Unless they're ex-cops. This is Jim Jones talking, mind you. 6ix9ine then is perched in the witness chair listening to this wiretapped call. It continues with Jim Jones saying, "You ain't never put no work in, so who the fuck are you? We made that little guy. We can break that little guy. We're gonna paralyze him." While 6ix9ine was listening to this, he leans his chin on his palms and slouches. Then they ask, "Now you joined the Bloods specifically to advance your music career, correct?" He says, "Correct." "You knew that that was a way to gain attention?" He said, "No." "You had never seen anybody join the Bloods and advance their music career before?" He said, "Not that I recall." They say, "You knew Cardi B was a Blood, right?" He says, "Correct." "You knew Cardi B had music videos with Blood members in the background of her, right?" He said, "Correct." "You knew that before you started making these songs, right?" "No, I didn't pay attention." "You didn't know who Cardi B was before you joined the gang?" They tried to object these questions, but it got overruled by the judge in the court. So 6ix9ine continued. He said, I mean, I knew who she was. I didn't pay attention to her at the time. You knew she was successful? He says, correct. I saw that the media was saying that 6ix9ine testified against Cardi B and said that Cardi B is a 9 Trey Blood member. This is false. As you can see by the transcript, it says 6ix9ine only called her a blood, and her being a blood is public knowledge. She's admitted it. She's told in interviews various times that she's a blood or she used to be one. So people running with this narrative that 6ix9ine snitched on her and that, she's a 9 Trey blood is all false. The cross-examiners were just trying to see if 6ix9ine's career was blueprinted from Cardi B's career. That's all. Now, AUSA Longyear asked 6ix9ine about his cooperation agreement. He told the government he brokered a 1 kilo of heroin deal in Bushwick around August of 2017, also sold heroin and marijuana in 2015, got 5 days of community service. 6ix9ine said, I punched a guy in Times Square with a shotty, and in Houston, I grabbed a fan by his jacket. The case is still pending, I think. So now he's just basically testifying everything that he's done. They continue and ask Mr. Hernandez, have you been sentenced? He says no. What is the maximum sentence you face? He says life. What is your understanding of a 5K letter? He says it has the good, bad, and the ugly about me. The judge gets it and can go under the mandatory minimum like time served. 6ix9ine then continues and says, without a 5K1 letter, the minimum I could serve would be 47 years. Government, no further questions. And this is where officially 6ix9ine ends his testimony. And now the lawyers that are trying to protect the ones that are getting prosecuted are going to cross-examine 6ix9ine, ask him a bunch of questions, and verify what he's saying. The first question on cross-examination, they ask, you are testifying to get the 5K letter or to help the government? 6ix9ine says a little bit of both. Now Nuke Mac's lawyer, Alex Huot, is emphasizing that 6ix9ine's attempted murder was with Shotty, not with his client. He said, you wanted to take part, right? 6ix9ine says, right. The cross-examine question asks, after the robbery in Times Square, where you videotaped all the guns in the lobby, Mel murdering them, Shotty threw the gun in your lap, and you said you're too famous to hold a gun. 6ix9ine said, no, I'm too famous to get out the car with a gun. They ask another question, what does trolling mean to you? 6ix9ine says, showing a little bit of my personality. I wasn't trolling. I made a video saying, fuck Chief Keef. Then they ask, then you ordered a shooting. He says, correct. So as you can tell, 6ix9ine is not denying anything that he's done wrong. He's pleaded guilty to everything because he's trying to go home. Then they ask, if you get time served, you'd get out at the beginning of next year, correct? 6ix9ine says, correct. And this is what I've been saying in my previous videos. He's going to get out in January of 2020. They continue the cross-examination and they say, you're not being prosecuted for shooting a gun in the Barclays Center, correct? 6ix9ine says, correct. Now Mac's lawyer is playing a video of Tekashi bragging after the Barclays shooting. We've seen this video multiple times. Then they say, so you were mocking them for ducking when fired on. He says, correct. You think it is surprising that someone ducks when a gun is fired at them? He pauses and he says, no, not surprising. Did you say I've had so many Instagrams, bro? I'm the king of getting my Instagrams deleted. 6ix9ine says, was that an interview? I have no recollection of saying that. They said, did you ever do a podcast with Adam22? Can I show you a transcript? He shows him. The questions are said, have you had 11 Instagram accounts? He says, less than that. Were some deleted? Yes. Were you ever told why? No. Did you ever say, I'm just a troll who knows how to rap? Another transcript, and this is from Angie Martinez's interview that 6ix9ine did. They continue on and ask, you still have a lot of fans? He says, I hope so, because now he's probably questioning after he's snitching if he's still going to have fans. They continue it and say, you put out a record after you were in jail, dummy boy. He says, yes. Were you popular in jail? Objection. They try to object it. The judge says sustained, irrelevant, which means it didn't matter. Did you sign autographs for guards? He says, not guards, a nurse. Then they ask, jail is still lonely for you? He says, what do you mean lonely? Yes, jail is really lonely. Let's talk about the Mets game with Shotty and Jorge. Somebody told Shotty that Roe had been robbed. He says, correct. Judge Engelmeyer gives 6ix9ine a comfort break. Now Nuke Mac's lawyer is cross-examining 6ix9ine about Gummo. How many 9 Trey hand singles are in it? You wanted it perfect, right? He said, I want all my music to be perfect. Do you have any idea how many people are members of the Bloods? He says hundreds of thousands. How about 9 Trey? I don't know. He says, I'm not a statistic. The kid whose jacket you grabbed in Houston, afterward you took a photo with him with both of you making the 9 Trey sign. He asks, can you show me the photo? Mac's lawyer, Huat, I don't think I have that one with me. The cross-examination continues and they cut to the chase to ask about his Instagram post. Someone please snatch my chain for my project so I can get more publicity. They asked, did you post this prior to the carjacking? Did you recall publishing a video pretending you were dead? Can you show me? 6ix9ine says. For now, they showed a private video of it. 6ix9ine says he doesn't remember uploading the video, but he does remember being filmed in that position, which is funny as hell because he's basically saying, I don't remember it, but I do remember playing dead. Then they wanted the video in evidence, but the government objects to the commentary that accompanies it. They continue and say, part of the role of my client, Anthony Ellison, was to collect money for you, correct? 6ix9ine says, correct. Denies memory of Harv collecting for him at a strip club. Kanik then asks, in a month after Gummo, how much money did you make? He says like 60,000. So Treyway Entertainment was a legitimate corporation. 6ix9ine says, I would not say so. I didn't see no paperwork. Then they asked, didn't you just say Shoddy and the others had tried? And then 6ix9ine says, tried. Like I could try a 3-pointer and not make it. Then they ask before Gummo, what was your genre of music? He says like rockish rap. They said, did you tell others to suck your body part? As you guys remember, 6ix9ine would always say, suck my dick everywhere in every video. He says, correct, but he ended up pondering it. So they said, but you just said you had to ponder it. And then 6ix9ine says, I don't know what ponder means. So I don't know if 6ix9ine is just trolling in the courtroom or if he's legitimately serious. Then they ask, do you ever recall challenging Trippie Redd to a fight? He says no. They ask Casanova. He says no. Then they ask, what about when Snow followed you from the T-Mobile store? Did you call Harv? He says correct, but Mel Murder came first. But then Harv came? He says correct. And then in the LA airport, Harv had been promoted to be my road manager. And around the Super Bowl and around the All-Star game, people bothered you. Some gang members were mad you didn't check in, and Harv squashed that situation. 6ix9ine says, no, it was me, Harv, his girlfriend, and a light-skinned chick taller than me. I believe she has a daughter or something. They continue and ask, wasn't Harv mad at Shoddy for getting you banned from places like Barclays Center? He says no. But then you were one of the hottest artists in the country. 6ix9ine corrects him and says, no, in the world. And then he says, and you were proud of that? He says, yeah, it's something to be proud of. Then he asks, you didn't tell people that you knew what the media wanted? Not that comes to my memory, no. On July 21st, 2018, you were just on the verge of releasing a song. You were kidnapped and robbed on the same day. He says, no. What day did it happen? July 22nd. It was like 5 a.m. So this alleged robbery happened hours before the release, correct? He says, correct. So when they supposedly robbed you, Harv and Shah were not wearing masks, right? Right, no masks. In fact, according to you, Jorge went out and spoke with them, who struck the car you were in. Yes. Did you see a gun? Yes, almost immediately. You can drive, right? 6ix9ine says, I don't have a driver's license. But you have driven many times, a handful of times. What's a handful? Like 6 times 2 handfuls. So you were repeatedly hit by Shah? Yes, to the face and nose a lot. How many times? Like 10? Like that. For how long? For 5 to 20 seconds. Shah's a big guy, bigger than me. Do you recall proof or sessions with the prosecutors? Yes. Did you tell them you got punched in the face and nose? Then they take a quick break and come back. Then they ask, they didn't come after you with the car, did they? He says, correct. And a car just happened to be there, right? Correct. Yesterday you said you ordered the guy to drive. No, I said drive the fucking car. Now Kanik asks 6ix9ine if he ever looked at his jewelry and his daughter's Pampers bag before giving it to Shah. No, he did not, but says it was worth $360,000. Rolex jigsaw chain, 4 rings. How do you know how much it costs? 6ix9ine asks, do we have it? Kanik asks, do you have the items insured? No. How much did you tell Angie Martinez they were worth? $1 million? Correct. That wasn't the only thing you lied to Angie Martinez about, right? Right. I lied about jumping out the car. How did you get to be on Angie Martinez's show? She asked me previous to the robbery. In the interview, you said you're the fastest man alive and you can make a movie out of this. He says, I don't recall saying that. Quake asks 6ix9ine, do you remember telling Angie Martinez I can make a movie out of this and it's better than NWA? He said, I said more than that. Then the judge jumps in and says, just answer the question. Quake asks, with Angie Martinez, you embellish things. 6ix9ine says, I don't know what embellish means. Quake, you told Angie your movie could have been better than NWA, right? Yes. You were just driving to Park Slope area without knowing where. 6ix9ine is done, meaning off the stand. Now he just has to wait, hope to get the 5K1 cooperator's letter. So 6ix9ine is officially done testifying and officially done being cross-examined. And if he gets the 5K1 cooperator's letter like he hopes to, he will be out in January of 2020. Now they're going to ask other witnesses during the assault and robbery what happened. The first person up is NYPD Officer LeBron from 79th Precinct. He's saying that Mr. Hernandez came in bleeding from the face, said he got hit with a hard object. Officer LeBron describes 6ix9ine's FaceTime call with a female who said, Danny, how are you? He said he was okay, asked where driver Jorge Rivera was. Then Officer LeBron accompanied Mr. Hernandez to the ambulance to Kings County Hospital, hearing him say, I thought I was going to die. I thought I was never going to see my daughter again. Now omnipresent CJA defense lawyer Calvin Scholar starts cross-examination of Officer LeBron. Then they bring in Jorge Rivera. That's the guy who was driving 6ix9ine when this incident happened. They ask about Jorge Rivera's history. He says he's from Mexico, came to Brooklyn via North Carolina. At first, he worked in a tire shop until February 2018, then became a driver for a car service. He met 6ix9ine because someone hired him to drive them to a video shoot. Then AUSA Longyear asks, prior to this day, have you ever heard of Daniel Hernandez or Tekashi 6ix9ine? He says no. Have you ever heard his music? He says no. Now Rivera identifies Shotty as 6ix9ine's manager, and then they ask, and what is Ro's relations with Mr. Hernandez? He says they were friends, they were together a good amount. After the day he was kidnapped, quite a bit. And this is where the trial ended for the day. The trial is going to continue with Jorge testifying his side of the story, and it's going to continue on Monday. Now that 6ix9ine's testimony is done, what do you guys think? Do you guys think 6ix9ine is actually going to get time served and is actually going to get out in January 2020? I personally think he's going to. He's going to be out in January 2020. He might even get out in December of 2019 because they don't like to give public knowledge of when a celebrity gets out of prison. Usually it's swayed a month earlier or something like that, a couple weeks earlier, a couple days earlier, so that, you know, the whole media isn't out there when he gets out. That happened with Lil Wayne. It's happened with various celebrities. And when he does get out, are you still going to bump his music? I know I've asked this a lot, but based off this testimony, it might have changed your mind. Who knows? I'll keep my eyes focused on what's going on with this case and with 6ix9ine because I'm working on a documentary revolving around 6ix9ine's career, his rise, his fall, everything. It's going to be crazy, and I'm just piling up information and researching everything that I can. And I'm probably going to release it in January 2020 when 6ix9ine gets out. But with that being said, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. If you want to support this channel further, you can do so at patreon.com/diverse mentality. For just $1 a month or more, you can help support this channel further. A link is in the description below. Like, comment, share, and definitely subscribe. I do videos like this daily on hip-hop news and much more, so definitely subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at QuakeGW. Like us on Facebook, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.